Hello, thank you for joining us. This is Chris Kimbell at Wolfguard IT and Lance at UNI Computers. And today we're going to talk about the latest thing in the news besides crypto, the Colonial Pipeline hack that just happened. And so we just wanted to just have a quick kind of fireside chat style about this, trying to answer a few questions about what's going on, what happened, how they got hacked, some of the news that we're reading, and talk to you guys about how you guys can protect yourselves from this. So yeah, Lance, thanks for joining. You have any opening comments or anything on this?
It's interesting to see this unfold. It's not, for us, you and I, you and me, it's not surprising. We kind of see this stuff all the time, and
Hmm.
so, but it's interesting to see how the ransomware threat actors, the bad guys, how they
Right.
kind of evolve their practice, right? Because they just get better,
Hmm.
and they're doing things more like a business all the time. And it's interesting to see that, and then how these companies react to that.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, acting more like a business, and I totally agree on that. The main hacker group that's supposedly behind this is DarkSide, and the way that they see this is a money-making business model, and called ransomware as a service. And basically, they have hackers that will sign up with them and share profits with them because they are creating DarkSide's creating like the ransomware, what would you call it, Lance? Like a package, I
Right.
guess.
Yeah.
And they charge people to use their package to deliver ransomware, to different businesses, and then yeah, they share in the profits together.
Yeah.
So
It's exactly like real business. That's how real
right.
business works, right? And it's interesting to see them taking it that seriously. Just a handful of years ago, it wasn't anything like that. And it was also much easier to defend against. And now, and they are in it to win. They're in it
Hmm.
to attack you, get your stuff, extort you for it. And now I'm reading more and more and seeing, unfortunately, more and more where they expect you to have the backups. So
Right.
because more companies do, after it kind of got a little more high profile, people were actually paying attention. It's like, okay, we weren't backing up before, we have to now. Well, they expect you
Hmm.
to have that now, so they still want to get paid. So now they're
Yeah.
saying, well, if you don't pay us, we're going to go release it everywhere, because you can't stop them from doing that.
Yeah.
The name of the game is starting to change to what are you going to do to keep them out to begin with.
Hmm. Yeah, there was also another thing recently in the news. I can't remember the details, but I think it was like a police department or something that got hit, and they refused to pay the ransomware. They wanted, I think it was like 4 million or I don't know, something like that. And they said we'd pay you 100,000, won't pay you more. So they said, fine, we'll just release all your information that we captured to the public. And they're
Yeah.
like slowly releasing it out in stages.
Yep.
So it's, yeah, no one is 100% safe, but there's a lot of just standard best practice.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of different talk into how this hack happened. I think you read one article that talked about one thing, possibility, and the one that I read said it could have been related to a local exchange server
Hmm.
that's had a known vulnerability for people to take advantage of since I think it was like early last year.
Yeah.
And they were saying that was never patched on this exchange server. If that was the actual cause or not, they're still
Yep.
testing. But what was the one that you read?
Yeah, I've been reading some people saying they're close to the situation, which of course until the official findings are out, no one knows for sure, right? But
Right.
they were saying that came through the billing system, which in a large corporation where you're going to have things like this, where you'd have fuel and you'd have infrastructure controlling that infrastructure is usually fairly segregated because it's very specialized. It doesn't talk to other systems in a traditional kind of a network way, and it's very sensitive to things not being just right, right, and
Mm-hmm.
there's lots of moving parts, lots of things going on. But the billing system is going to be more generally like your average network. right? And so more connected to the internet, more having
Mhm.
average users on it, doing average user things, and therefore, unfortunately, highly more susceptible to having an attack like this be perpetrated if all the right pieces aren't in place. I probably uh, believe that. I mean, who knows, right? But I think that's going to be highly more likely to be the vector, something like that, because there's just so many ways that you can get infected nowadays
Mhm.
if you don't have the right pieces in place. And the sad thing from my point of view is it's relatively easy to keep most of this stuff at bay. But if you
Right.
don't have the pieces in place, it's almost impossible to keep it at bay.
Yeah, and what I see a whole lot, when we start doing IT for a new company and doing the onboarding and discovering everything, is how often you go in and you find that a company, their previous IT, they just had a firewall and
Yeah,
antivirus,
yeah.
and that's just two of the layers
Hmm.
that, like a house. If you want to be very secure, you have a fence around your perimeter and they hop over the fence, what else do you have? Are they
Right.
only going to go through the front door? No. There's back doors, garage, windows, and the same with security. Um, and not that you're always going to stay safe, but it's pretty easy to provide, standard security best practice, cover your layers,
Hmm.
and at least be so much more secure than oh, just having two security items, firewall and antivirus. It just doesn't cover
Yeah,
near enough of the entry points.
yeah. Something that I keep noticing is since so many of the attacks now are automated, um, if you make it hard enough for the bad guys to come after you, they're going
Mm,
to focus their attention elsewhere. The automated stuff's going to come by. It's going to see if you're sleeping on the job. It's going to see if you've got, remote desktop open to the world, or, just the real
right.
basic stuff. And
Hmm.
when it sees that you have got the right pieces in place and you don't have these holes, well, it's not going to report back, oh yeah, this person's company, they're wide open, ready to go. Hit the go button, and we got them,
Right.
right? It's going to take a much more targeted attack. Not that that won't happen, but the likelihood when you're not showing all these vulnerabilities of
Hmm.
being then subjected to a targeted attack is so much lower. Because believe me, they want the low hanging fruit. They want to go after the
They're a
companies that are going to
business.
pay and that have, that are easy pickings. You know,
Yeah.
it's just like business, right?
Yeah,
They're going to go after the
exactly.
targets that are easiest.
The
And
easiest with the
you
biggest payoffs.
Right. And you can make yourself not an easy target if you've got the right stuff in place.
Yeah, yeah, and I think I talk with some people and they say, "Oh, well, I'm just a nobody. No
Yeah.
one's going to be coming after me." That's not how they look. They do all
Right.
their like scans or just throw out these tools, see what picks up, and
Hmm.
then they'll maybe check it out further. So if you
Yep.
cover your bases, not that again you'll never get hacked, but it
Yeah.
just greatly decreases your chances
Yeah.
because
I have
they're
a,
not looking at who they're hitting. They're just looking
right.
for what they can easily get in with the biggest
I had a
payoff.
talk on this just on Monday, and I have another one coming up here in a couple weeks, where I basically talked about the same thing. It's not like it
Hmm.
was several years ago, where you kind of had to be targeted, or you
Yeah.
just had to have users that would just click on everything, in order to actually have something bad happen. And even then, it was easy to recover from. Um, Now it's just not the same anymore. So yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember the exact percentage, but a statistic I recently read was somewhere around like 92-95% of the method that ransomware comes in through is email
Yep.
attachments or email messages.
Yep.
And so that's just another example of these other different security measures you got to have.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I guess kind of things to take from this is follow security best practice. Make sure your IT company is actually patching your systems,
Hmm.
keeping up with that. Make sure that they had security best practice in place, and always have those backups. Make sure those are
Absolutely.
secure.
If you've got a current IT company, you need to ask them, how are we protecting our desktops, our servers, if you have them. How are we protecting our email? How are we educating our users to make sure that something like this isn't going to happen to us? And if your IT company that you have right now, if they don't have an answer that sounds good to you, or something that's like, yeah, let's get that going, then
Mm-hmm.
you need to be shopping. You need to be looking, because at the end of
Yeah.
the day, if you run a business,
It's your business.
it's your business. Your IT can protect you to a certain degree, but the buck stops with you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have um, the right stuff in place, but you're not also looking to get the right stuff in place, well, it's not the IT company's data that's going to get compromised. It's yours.
Yeah. And you can, ask for reports.
Hmm.
Is one thing you can do if you really don't know, IT is not your area at all. Ask them for a report. Come give me a cybersecurity report. Tell me my different layers. Are you covering on email and
Yep.
firewall and antivirus? And I mean, you should have at least what about like 5 or 6
Yeah, I
at a
mean,
minimum.
at a minimum, yeah,
Yeah.
because email itself has got like 3 layers all by itself,
Right.
just for the basic checks,
Hmm. And that's
and
not thinking about HIPAA and all this
right, yeah,
other stuff.
that's way huge, way huger. If you've got compliance that you have to adhere to, it's a whole different ball game, and chances are you probably already have a lot of that in place, because you have to in order to hit yes on those check boxes, right? But if you're not, then maybe you don't know the things you need to have in place, and that's where you need to be asking the questions.
Yeah. Sounds good. All right. Well, thanks again, Lance. I know you've been on
Absolutely.
with us before, and always appreciate you coming on and sharing your knowledge.
Thank you.
All right. Take care, everybody. Be safe.